Dear Don Lemon, you are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with a pattern of election crime racketeering with your interbranch sources retired and standing, and with your private lawyers and police forms and sources, like, for example, on off Central Connecticut State University. You are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of state police, their family members, former director of the FBI down, and in his defendant capacities, and a whole bunch of federal criminals and their family members associated with him. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. This is with sequence racketeering and with misprision criminality, fact treatment nature racketeering tricks, fact treatment nature. That we realize are also part of evidence racketeering with the sequence racketeering with the branches originally and still, which is used to maintain them criminally foreign influence. Identities of jobs countering nations that are countering us at the same time because there and here modern nations are and are recorded involved in an identity of negative value nature progression. And this is why the predicate act and why the predicate of English are in a demonstration of the same thing about our thing as being a demonstration of the same things plural at the same time, thing/s. This is how our identity of value as nature works per science, which is distinct from scientific consensus. You're asking, these are involved with child offenders through administrations because we have states and areas involved with even in the institution of the Department of Homeland Security. Their roles, even with child agencies, even with all kinds of legislation, even for medicine and medical, involved with racketeering because of the uses originally and still of all kinds of anomaly associated with how they have courts involved with identity racketeering and identity thefts and all that tied to that because this is a sustained against each age of fact treatment nature. They have a bunch of recorded bonded crime methods with vertical and horizontal database racketeering and uses of interbranch families originally and still all private tied to them. This is prosecutors. These are people intercampuses of each nature, worst in intercities, worst in interstates. Maintain this outcome because we have shared policing like of criminal justice. Like, in other words, in relationship to value treatments, where they're disputing it here and there. Where we have private, you can't defend that and us at the same time. But that's valued. For example, when they try to pretend they know about stability in relationship to crazy things on all sides with weapons and things like that, the needs for it, all that energy, and we're still in the recorded involved with the tactical for torture and slavery and identity thefts of our founders here and there, self-value glorified even. So, in other words, they're fake sides because you guys are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated your sources are racketeering with Russians, and they're pretending to be against it because they're pretending. In other words, just because they're even recorded punishing criminal enterprises and actors of them to pretend to be against it after they were already recorded and involved with racketeering with them, with evidences, with identity thefts. A whole bunch of people on and off Alina's Pizza and associated with them through time involved with a whole bunch of nations involved with Central Connecticut State University, people with UConn, people with Trinity College, from off campuses involved with a whole bunch of other nations that maintain uses of the identities of each department and each person in it criminally from off campuses, though. And this is completely fact treatment nature reaction. This is where everyone leans over when someone says follow mandated law, and they're stacking more fake things recorded into databases. This is where we have the training of everything involved with the furtherance of racketeering through it. At the same time, there are people associated with the airports, with my new and past neighbors, their extended family members, with pilots, with policing of them. Influences on off these same campuses with hundreds tied to thousands of names, all tied to the same /house/s involved with the people that are stealing my identity, pretend I even know them from my school. And that's relevant now because these are people still involved with further child offender roles. Now, see, we have a former Mayor Gold, a whole bunch of people involved with houses in my area, with FBI, CIA, WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, WTNH, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with racketeering through time, pretending things were recorded, and having people act so they can pretend to be neutral, recording things, perceiving things, pretending to perceive things, which note they're doing with color originally still. But we're not having mandated law followed. We're having behavior crimes and interpretations of behavior because we have the experts of logic originally and still criminally foreign influence, and that exploited because it was legalized but criminally legalized. And that's what our obligations are, really, for free speech, free religion. We don't have free religion. They have each of the identities, the ground, and locations next to them involved with racketeering, associated with all kinds of bonded crime methods, vertical and horizontal. In other words, from the databases that these are using the identities of the kids of each branch originally and still already already perfected uses of manifest tools of identity ground, like the parks, the houses next to them, in relationship to a crime method originally and still that not only is against our founders, you have to understand it in sequence nature. What they did this against Native Americans too. They made them blame the real causes of predicate acts on groups wrong. They first forced them to education tactically denatured, tactically pseudo cared for simultaneously. And this is what we have originally instilled because they have exploitations of this from off campuses that needed to hide it with roles, exploiting what's therefore self-valued, manifest reaction as a fact treatment nature, a nature of volume, as actually recorded. No criminal insidiousness nature. See, we have a Dr. Shub associated with modern languages, for example, involved with racketeering with various natures of hospitals, like in Israel, in Syria. His roles with interpretations of languages, of the Arabic language. His roles with Capaco Shopping Center, with police forms involved with that through time, on off, like on Zion Street, racketeering, real and made up or training. In other words, they have overt criminal enterprise, have undercover involved with racketeering, with evidences, with identity racketeering, and uses of that where that's completely fact cheap nature. They're preventing responses. The more people ask for it, like online, they're lying about us and making it about behavior. They're forcing fights. They're forging names, switching names. The uses of New Britain Superior Court is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with more sexual offenders involved with prosecutorial families, men and women, involved with people associated, a whole bunch of people associated with New Britain Superior Court, other natures of courts I was never even in, too, through time. I just remind. Boxing. So in other words, we have high-bred people associated with Long Lane and prisons in Middletown and houses around these places. In other words, they have all identities of the ground into every family. Victim predators maintained per a method /S, which everyone is the /S part, as styles of liars, as styles of victim predator fact cheating nature reactions needs to be trying to keep the protraction of positive out of negative, which is logic's course. But we have logic again by recorded. I'm not a doctor, but we have them recorded with physical delusions, criminal foreign influence, fact cheating nature, styles of liars, racketeering roles with various natures of courts and with various natures of prisons, and of all tied to that. People associated with libraries, on and off campuses, on and off libraries, connected through time, per uses of that with the bonded crime methods. UConn, a whole bunch of people involved with UConn are involved with a whole bunch of nations, manifest involved racketeering with psychology, because this is tied to fact cheating nature racketeering, where they're pretending mental diagnosis. They're also valuing statutes originally still criminally foreign influence, where they can torture people, but they don't call it torture because they pretend they're trying to treat someone. People that don't even need treatment, they're causing they're causing physical issues in people with no mental and no physical problems. They're causing fights and using violence and threats of violence, forced, sustained, worse than that, torture, forced, sustained, identity thefts, the thefts of our intellectual property, of our names, of our identities, identity racketeering, identity fraud, identity theft, interbranch, all associated with them private. They're using databases in the background the whole time. And they're stacking natures of crimes and natures of crime roles and people that are just victim predators. For example, too, you know how you have a teacher and you remember back and you just want to remember the good. They don't want, this is a crime method that knows that. I have teachers of all types of opinions. I love my teachers just because, you go through life in each age, especially in college, you're aware that you're getting wiser each year. More than that, by continuing education. But at the same time, these platforms are originally and still used for racketeering that is self-valued originally and still. That's why we have victim predators, everyone. Fact cheating nature styles of opinions, pretending other people have opinions to prevent actual facts that are actually true always. And to prevent quality of fact cheating nature style as science enough. As scientific process is prevented by the people with the jobs of each science per a fact cheating nature racketeering role, entrenched with its ties to our quality of fact cheating nature volume where it's active, and we have to be a style of making positive out of negative, as criminal and serious nature or not. See, but as criminal and serious nature is forced, and we don't have free speech to demonstrate it. This is what Little Rap Guy is trying to teach everyone about, including Sep, who in the cartoon is a lot wiser than the other two characters a lot of ways, but they're also a lot wiser than each other a couple of ways. In other words, as we'll see, because Little Rap Guy, Sep, and Reeves, for example, the whole world is recorded in the first place. Actually, in reality, not the cartoon value nature system, but the actual value nature system, which is inseparable from the cartoon value nature. But it's criminally foreign influence. It's delusions raw. The zoning laws, evidence styles of treatments of qualifications of what is our evidences are leaving out recorded, confessed, and demonstrated exploitation of areas of the law where private is valued, because we don't have enough jobs at the same time where the jobs we have, you can't defend that and anything but self-value, live aggressions from every database, private, interbranch, intercampuses of each age, and they have each nature in collusion with everyone else too. Kept needing to hide the same finite, active, progressive, and sequential lies and identity thefts. And not by accident. We are a nature that needs each other. We don't have to agree about our own personal things. They know this because they wanted us to let the sensibilities of interbranch keep behavior. But they're starting fights. They're sequence racketeering here. You guys are preventing mandated laws, stealing our identities, putting fake things in. The branches have been criminally acting together through administrations with Russians. Since I was a kid, this is involved. all three corners of Highcrest School. You understand that? Don't forget that's known here. You showed that to me too. With this Tom Peruta involved further with intercities, fire departments, involved with the police departments, involved with medical campuses, involved with also places on and off the medical campuses, on and off the fire departments, on and off the parks, on and off the religious spots, interreligious spots, on and off the community center, on and off the Jewish community center. Roles with racketeering, foreign and domestic, involved with AT&T. A whole bunch of ways tied to forensics labs involved with racketeering uses of the agencies originating still. Their way, how they go, the little victim predators. They demonstrate, record, and confess. They have the building, the location of the Department of Homeland Security, whatever they call it, INS, whatever they have all their language involved with the racketeering, involved with the down G Fox building, the building next to it with Fox Connecticut News, involved with the two Mendez police, involved with two DeMaine brothers, their family members, men and women tied to them like a Marisol, a whole bunch of people associated with Facebook, associated with KNERR, and people with the name KERR, and Officer Miller, Jerry Miller, also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated further involved with racketeering uses of each of the campuses in town by a whole bunch of people too, speaking Miss Prisian. So now you're speaking to me, Miss Prisian, every year of my life with people that I never saw in the same location. Then they're preventing things in writing. These are courts that have been using the campuses of each age. This is not UConn alone. This is the training, their roles with medicine, especially with psychology. They're already involved with all kinds of racketeering from that, and with the libel aggressions, way worse, negative value nature progressions, and the libel aggressions in that used to maintain them from off that, needing perpetually. They're a propagated machine of libel aggressions tied to databases, all kinds of names, forging, switching, and drug crime roles associated with the Leahy family, former director of the FBI, CIA families, their family members, a whole bunch of people associated with Eric Jensen, Dearborn Street in Newington, businesses around the corner of that, a whole bunch of people involved with racketeering with Two Rod Highway houses off of it. And their roles with my new and past neighbors, with more child sex offenders associated with state police forms and families, and foreign and domestic associated with, and doctors, foreign and domestic associated with racketeering uses of prisons, everything tied to the interbranch involved with the child offenders, uses of each age of factory nature as each actually recorded through time. A whole bunch of people associated manifest racketeering roles with Alina's Pizza, Park Street, all positions on Park Street, people with Trinity College on off it through time. These are people with racketeering roles with pilots and with people with jobs with that, with all the headaches with that, used to keep them native roles, criminally foreign influence, like the people going against the Russians, and pretend that's evidence that they don't know. They're involved with racketeering with them along routes. People along routes involved with identity thefts against Homeland. Then they want to pretend, oh, that's, I don't care. Put something in writing. Right up from Old Weathersfield, the streets on that corner there, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved racketeering with uses of the media on and off locations. Roles, a whole bunch of roles with CCSU, also involved with Fox Connecticut News, and with racketeering with houses, again, on and off Two Rod Highway, with child sex offender roles further, recorded, confessed with houses in my area. Sequence racketeering roles through time. Drug crime roles, a whole bunch mix of natures. Gun crime roles, other natures of them. Now, they have also a whole bunch of reports. They have fake news rights to do that, but they're using it criminally too, involved with the racketeering. A whole bunch of places on streets, also perpendicular to that. There's a kid they say got shot, also down not far from the state judicial branch offices, which is on and off that with a whole bunch of men and women, police forms, foreign and domestic, involved with all along that route, all the way to Cromwell, involved with racketeering. criminal uses, crime roles of AT&T, uses of such. Before all that, it's recorded how it's maintained to keep everyone rolls with all that private tie to psychology into everything and uses of that. For example, they have, for example, if you say something bad about a group, there are people of all those groups. I like any group, but I love even all my teachers, and they want to make that not true by pretending not to realize when people report actual sequence in a lot of ways, in a lot of cases, and to keep this from being discerned, they're offensively using our child abuse method that they're forcing sustained. It's not just sexual and medical. It's not just interbranch attaching little kids to fake locations through time. It's not just uses of it, like a whole bunch of people with New York City with the name Alicia tied to on and off campuses connected, CCSU, Trinity College, other campuses involved. Further recorded and confessed various natures of courts and their family members, doctors involved with racketeering with the kids. People with locations like the two mobile gas stations, businesses around them through time, foreign and domestic racketeering, pretending other by speaking things into records with courts, knowing they already have other recorded, and preventing like me and other people voices because they have originally instilled, propagated criminally foreign influence states and areas. Criminally foreign influence database relationships effectively maintain self-value, effectively have maintain only let realize styles of liars. Worse than just upon the forsaken, as breaching screens and tools. This is recorded in collusion with a whole bunch of police forms and interbranch racketeering roles here against our forsaken law. The Quran warns against people who pretend to be Muslim always. They appear to be. They're preventing the first part of the sequence nature of the Quran from having free speech. Same thing with the Old Testament, where it's about science. This was their word about Adam is the subject and Eve is the verb. The identity of the verb changes when it's not the main verb. It's no longer the predicate then. Put an ing in a verb, it's no longer a verb. The identity changes. We're talking about identity, nature, or volume. Simultaneously, we're talking about the identity the scientists share. Simultaneously, the predicate of English is valued the same exact way the predicate of the law is valued. In demonstration of what? A criminal insidious nature of what? Of identity. This is about identity's nature or volume. Why does the president repeat? I believe he repeated reciprocal. If you look on Wikipedia, reciprocal, you'll see all their manifestations and things. You'll see the identity nature. I don't know if they won't use that phrase, but they will. Because that's how you say it right. Value nature is distinct from values nature, but as value nature. But as values nature. Within its complete volume, nature of volume, which controls it. As our complete identity of nature, of identity, is in demonstration with all the complete identities of our body, semi-nature in relationship to it. And that's where we can't help but be temporary positive. And the whole time, temporary / lasting positive is connected. Since semi-ancient times, we've had criminally legalized criminal insidiousness nature. Fake sides of it, too. I'll drop the false fake sides. Vaccines, it searches to all things alone. So Allah's name is the identity of algebra, for example. We have a whole bunch of sciences that are identities of themselves that are abridged. So we have an identity, we have a phenomenon manifest where scientific consensus is valued by a whole bunch of knave victim predator styles of opinion natures as the only identity of the science standing. And so they're valuing English roles with the obfuscation of evidence reception proper course. So they have, oh, this is the way we take, this is the way we treat evidences. This is how it should be tied to all narratives of with the theater involved with racketeering uses, former director of the FBI down, with remote uses of him, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated simultaneously, the same way we have remote uses of the directors of other nations' agencies as well simultaneously. We have each modern nation incapable of election not being an election racketeering role, uses of town offices, uses of fire departments, their roles with entrenched Russians, their roles with pretending to be against what they're for because they have statutes that say they can do that. Because we have hundreds of nations for shared policing while undercover. Circ! You shouldn't have to beg. Should we have mandated law through administrations? Because UConn is involved. All kinds of people with West Hartford also recorded demonstrated police forms with badges, but they're also doctors of psychology involved racketeering intercities with a whole bunch of people from my town through time. Ray Clo and Joe DeMoro demonstrated one time in the past. They brought me to a place, someplace with the whale. I remember I'd been there before that when I was a kid, but not with them. In other words, they did that to pretend they know me. In other words, that's my neighbor, but his extended family member went to my grave, but I never saw them together growing up. And he's involved with child offenders and other extended family members. And per them, I don't know if the Scalora family is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by a whole bunch of people, foreign and domestic, that they're involved with a DeMoro family in Weathersfield and Rocky Hill, also with racketeering uses of CCSU. Also, a Hanson family is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with them with racketeering with AT&T, with agencies through time, with database racketeering, vertical and horizontal, criminal uses, crime roles with identity thefts, identity frauds, crime roles with the DeMoro that used to pretend things behind my back that he used to say, like he used to copy people's things he heard on TV. And in other words, pretend people do that behind their backs. There are women associated with state police that do that too, all along that route. Like, in other words, try to describe a guy behind his back to other girls. For example, that's just this is with each age of fact shaping nature, originally and still worse than forsaken. This is why they're not letting originally and still real sick people associated with what they call science, that is fake care and aggression and gun crime roles and gun crime methods and natures of motivations recorded but not let demonstrated. We don't have mandated law followed. We have CNN. You guys are involved. Don Lemon, you're involved with pretending not to realize you're not allowing mandated law. You are recorded and confessed and demonstrated involved with a pattern of racketeering with people with CCSU leading up to the Trade Center attack. Even if the whole thing is made up, I'm not using those evidences of anything anyone reported. Leading up to that and since with child offenders, interstates, crime methods and natures of motivations that are other because of there's so many motivations, natures of crime that are with evidences, racketeering, and uses of all that juxtaposed with the right to be racketeering nature undercover and acting that way by using it criminally originally still, preventing free speech, integrity, pretending to be about ethics, sick, leaving out exceptions deep and long and vast and hard. So we're not going to, in other words, we're gonna change black to white. We're gonna change. We're gonna fight. We're not gonna do like dress like women, but we're gonna fight for women and women fight for men. We're gonna see where fact cheating nature, where sequence shifting is hurting women, where they need to raise their voice, but they gave up and layers short. And so they're fighting another style. As a criminal racist nature self-valued. That's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. CNN has recorded, confessed, and demonstrated roles with the furtherance of that from the Supreme Court down and up, from below them, while being the the deepest part of our sophistication, the only active integrity of it, and the progressive integrity of it. Not worse than not breaching screen, weapon, tool, worse. All victim predators, all victims. That's why we need forgiveness. This is also recorded consciously, sickly, overtly, offensively prevented demonstration. What, for example, they're forcing the Quran and the Old Testament only allowed interpreted out of the sequence. They are preventing free speech from demonstration of it, and then they want to have an argument with their physical delusions. So they're forcing it also with violence and pretending to be against it. In other words, this is also, in other words, where they're making things up. They have no evidences, and the evidences they have are criminal, and they're preventing. See it. Fox Connecticut News has recorded, confessed, and demonstrated being coached to the furtherance of child sex offender roles. Medical interbranch. Go! The building's next to them. The building is next to them. I'm not going to keep begging you, you Fox News. Fix your fake news with WFSB. You're done. You're also involved with the softball program that was involved with the cultivation of your motivations for that. It's not personal. Fix your fake news. WFSB, fake conversations with me, and sequence racketeering, and against my family members too. You did the same thing. You identity theft motherfuckers. Fix the fake news. I asked you come first many times, you sick freaks. You also have WFSB involved, and you also have New Britain Superior Court's Facebook page involved with you with child sex offenders with your crimes here first, and then with that too. So this is leading up to a 2006 case, racketeering with you, leading up to a trade center attack. The same people involved, interstates, intercities, interbranches, international courts, on off the state judicial branch offices with a Fianza family, another person I don't even know the name with, involved with black and white racketeering cliques with Confederate flag. No, KKK, no. And you fake punks with both fake sides. You have criminal justice, undercover people, foreign and domestic, a whole bunch of people with Puerto Rico, a whole bunch of people with Mexico, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with these people from my town, interbranch, intercity, sick, intercampuses. Now they have also men and they have women with this. You can't fight with someone who's physical delusion. I'm not gonna. They attach me to fake yelling at a woman. Now they also had someone else in the place that's involved. A whole bunch of people tied to a Dillon family 3 times actually recorded a Hartford hospital, a place where they force people for mental evaluation if people are using their voices to defend themselves against racketeering with the kids and violence and threats with bug spray guns. Time. You know how sick it is to be going to court when you're not when you're not guilty of anything, and they've been involved with racketeering, preventing you free speech, and attaching you to fake conversations with their little punks, interbranch originally and still. That is what is actually recorded. That is what is actually the motivations with slavery. Then and now with that fucking term, slavery. Wrong. Way worse than wrong. I'll show you science here. It's about anybody associated with a predicate act as a criminal in seditious nature. Now we're talking about identity. Identity has value here. In a predicate, we're talking about the identity of a verb, and that changes. That changes when it's not the predicate. Now we're talking about predicate acts here because we're talking about wire crimes, whole wire crime methods, because then you have whole misprision groups with motivations, natures, needs, interests recorded effectively, having been kept needing to hide those live aggressions by using identity as a ground to get over on people. Oh, we'll just let the courts settle that. Oh, well, we believe the police when they're forging names, switching names, and confessing it, and just sticking back in databases because they've been already crime acting as actually recorded interbranch, individually grouped and together. The whole individual crime methods, every individual group and together of the executive branch, then grouped with the judicial branch crime methods, and every individual of the judicial branch, originally and still individually grouped and together, criminally foreign influence, all tied to them, their family members, because this is through a vertical and horizontal organized crime method that maintains roles with itself value. Forgiveness was for this. Your wrong, fake branches fall. We must build the wall. See, we have body of value discernment. The walls of our body clear as value here. Your campus lied, each nation's too. See suits and ties. See counters too. All fair. Campus Marcius rises here, all fair. These are our means. One way redeems. Be native pure. We don't have to be actually physically native to be the native once. That was the humanity working together revealed the ancient republic for which we stand and its intercampus systems. Then that humanity before modern religions in semi-ancient times, even before them, the systems education valuing how and why we are a species was lost from the human fact, treatment, nature, long words proper. That's what they have here, racketeering against the long words, and they're using crime methods with interbranch family members and with the prison cliques, even before they're the roles with that. They're hiding how those places have already been racketeering roles with the overt criminal enterprises as private ones and as the interbranch originally still criminally legalized. These are people with all kinds of racketeering with substances like fake marijuana and things like that, synthetic things with like smoke shops. They have now the delivery systems with these things, but they're worried about cigarettes. So you have problems. The reason that marijuana should be legalized also is because of all the racketeering uses of the people with it, even using the qualities of it for racketeering, using effectively originally and still with our military criminally foreign influence, easily used that way, easily exploited that way. Identity theft racketeering, never having integrity, wasted people's lives. It's all right you have an opinion. It's all right if you're hurt by them, especially to have an opinion, but don't use that opinion to mean what it doesn't. Don't pretend any identity of the law had integrity ever had free speech for us then, because they're defending identity, and that's exploited in the cycle critical to that interbranch racketeering. They get away with it because they're all using crime methods pretending they're hearing behavior. They have everyone perceiving that each age of fact should be nature. It's about behavior, not actually what is true always sequence. In other words, they're racketeering natures. There's a Joshua Julian, our people undercover, associated foreign and domestic, with Confederate flag theme, KKK theme, black theme, because these are people involved with identity racketeering into branch. They influence people to make confessions to people into branch. At the same time, those people are also influenced by overt criminal enterprises and private ones associated with already all juxtaposed with the areas anyway. That's what's juxtaposed, fake care. It's not just fake, just to counter fake care. We're not countering base things. We're countering what is denying what is true always in sequence true. And that's the Forsaken, and that's how they're doing it. You guys are preventing me and anyone who tries to have speak for our nature's exploitation where it is standing. You're forcing it to be, you're forcing me to speak as a white person. Simultaneously, you're forcing other people to be black while I'm speaking. I'm supposed to, in other words, they have representatives of humanity, all physical, all fake sides, all the same physical delusions, all the same styles of liars recorded, sequence shifts, delusions, raw predators, originally instilled formally. So we have mandated law not left forward. We have to show the behavior racketeering, the evil of Don Lemon. He pretends, oh, because I sit like this, I'm a good person. These people are real sick and hard and long. They've been. There are a whole bunch of people associated with Wawas, a place across the street with them, with agencies recorded confessed, involve a whole bunch of people associated with the Dillon guy, people on off Two Rod Highway. Town Oils recorded confessed and demonstrated being coached. Also, another person, I don't know them, and they said they're not associated with Brian Bonin, which is part of the way they know. That's they're saying different things. The police are preventing responses to them stealing our identities, forging names, switching names, preventing us speech while they're attaching us to fake recorded speech with them, fake locations, our kids. Oh, fucking motherfucker! You put a fucking person on paper now. I asked you many fucking times. They're also using Facebook for just sexual and medical abuses of kids. We have to counter the sick woman with this, involved with it all kinds of ways, private and interbranch. Let's go. Get the fucking thing on paper, because this is also the Wethersfield town offices. These are people also involved with what I know that. I know if these recorded confessed, even if they fucking made that up. It's fucking recorded, you motherfuckers. You think there's a fucking swamp, it's worse, motherfuckers. I'll fucking drink the motherfucker down. Give me a fucking response, you motherfuckers. Someone do it for the presidents, because none of them had free speech. And they want to force them to be knave roles with this Dom Lemon, involved with the racketeering, with the people from Connecticut, involved with the racketeering, demonstrable upon the people of New York City. Are you out of your fucking mind to pretend they're free? You fucking fake science motherfuckers. Who fucking disbelieves? Pick one name in sequence. Fucking respond here. I'll delineate your fucking delusions from your criminally informed, influenced human fact nature. You want to have a fight, motherfucker? You don't do it by killing your motherfucker. You fucking follow mandated law and you shut the fuck up. You're going to stay in collusion with a whole bunch of group nations. Sick motherfucker like you. Don Lemon, get the fuck out. CNN, hurry the fuck up. Follow mandated law. Don't fucking look sideways, motherfucker. Ask someone else. Give me the fucking name then. Give me a fucking someone who will fucking respond, you motherfuckers, with CCSU, with fucking WFSB, WTNH, the Fox Connecticut News recorded, confessed, and demonstrated criminal fucking roles with fucking police forms and fucking interbranch with the parks in my town criminally through time, with houses next to that, you motherfuckers. Who disbelieves, motherfucker? Pick one name in sequence. I'll show you how to fucking real fast reveal evolution, motherfuckers. Leave fucking North Korea alone too, you motherfuckers. Leave everyone fucking leader alone. Let's fucking show these states and areas, and you fucking sick scientists, motherfuckers. Let's fucking get a response from you motherfuckers who disbelieves. The fucking say because I said something about a group, you're using them fucking to hurt kids. Don't pretend that's fucking anything personal against anyone I fucking knew. You guys are the ones that fucking starting fights with me and my fucking past teachers, motherfuckers. But you're not alone, motherfuckers. And I understand how they used DACA as a fucking substrate for what was here before that, motherfucker. And we're going to know the difference between pseudo-semantics and semantics and pseudo-rhetoric and rhetoric. motherfuckers, because you ain't getting away, motherfuckers, no more with fucking wasting people's fucking time. How is a motherfucker supposed to tell a little kid about slavery if you can't fucking tell this, motherfucker? That's what's actually recorded, motherfucker. What are the fucking names of the people on the fucking two-hour highway with that fucking Victorian House, then, motherfucker? What are the names of the fucking people with the real estate agencies, with the Fianza family, on off the state judicial branch offices, with the child defenders, motherfucker, with these gun crimes? They said they got a fucking kid that got shot down the road from there. This whole fucking down that route is sick with the fuckers all the way to fucking. She make me swear, motherfucker. Because they fucking want to control aggression, motherfucker, while they want to control at the same time fake care, motherfucker. We're going to switch the fucking colors now, motherfucker. You lose, motherfucker, because all sides want justice now. The species fighting longs its course. Who train? Who take these motherfuckers down? No name, they're facts. Forgiveness is to have a quality of fact-keeping nature with sequence true, with care, with forgiveness, and to show it doesn't have forgiveness. We have natures of convictions of A and B that pretend that things are binary. Oh, this is a crime or not. No forgiveness because they're already racketeering roles with those same crimes, with those same criminals against innocent every day in those courts. There are many pray, one-way reports. It's here to disbelieve. We have recorded not one expert capable of speaking about behavior correctly, especially regarding slavery, especially regarding the questions that must come in now. Vaccine. Vaccines, it tells us things. The scientists share this identity. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Because we have some sick people are going to hurt your kids, as they did effectively right through generations, not by accident. With every motivation, nature needs an interest. This is all juxtaposed. Originally, when you think that stopped? When you think that stopped being used? Vaccines, you choose. See mandates call us or not. Then feel the force. Get high. You're not the one that you think is force. Fake sides. Be charged is nearly pure. Vaccines, it tells us things. Behold, be sure. The skyline's value only lifts in gifts. It only fills. It lifts in gifts, or it's forced away our value. It forced away. It leaves of ideas. It goes. Oh. AncientGamingSystem.com, YouTube.com/user/Rodman's Here you are, the species coach. Boxing. It tells us things. So we have violence to counter here. And we have a fake care. We have crime methods associated with that. Getting over on perception with another method of theater, like when I say theater, they start having people. You start seeing that repeated. This is not just they have algorithms and effects in relationship to online platforms. They're victims being used in relationship. They're directed by former director F.B.I. down. Other agencies involved with racketeering roles with databases, lie progressions tied to that, and styles with that. Therefore, evaluating people more styles of behavior racketeering. We're trained to if you say something against this group, they have these groups used as weapons as their styles of liars, preventing originally and still intercultural, black and white, a whole bunch of agencies, nations, fake sides there and here, already divided, not real unities, roles with slavery as the identities of law, blaming the real causes of predicate acts, criminal and seditious natures, wrongdoing, mass criminal and seditious nature, styles of liar, other things other than themselves, and valuing that have only been remembered since some ancient times. This just reminds, since before modern religions, yin yang. Yin yang will not break. We can. This is where we are more and more value coming into the nature and into and as the nature of volume as forever nature, the same way things come into earth. Evolution's fruits and gifts from nowhere means one way redeems. It's that simple this way. Science. Consensus sway. Fake sides. We'll sweep you now. Betrayal tribes. New York. There's a recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. We have a whole bunch of racketeering, internation, interscience. We have like Washington, D.C., for example, was associated with a ropes program in the past. And they have uses of like probation officers and of like victims advocates who are involved with judges retired and standing with all natures of abuses of each age of fact treatment nature and uses of the various natures of courts to hide their lie progressions, maintained effectively as ones that are used to, and have been used to keep effectively self-valued misprision racketeering roles, for example, with the value treatments of each age of fact treatment nature, like elderly homes, like the VA. Do you see them in that people stacking? That is just like the people stacking with tenements in New York City. That was only allowed to be capable of being afforded by any individual grouped in together, not by accident. To keep us grouped that in a way that's going to cause negative value nature progressions, accident, and natures and demonstration were grouped other than how nature's wanted us to grouped and to receive science. It's self-perfection, which reveals its identity of a relationship to itself, which is self-perfection. We have its self-valued identity of relationship to itself, which is self-valued each age of fact treatment nature as criminal and seditious nature roles, blaming the real causes of slavery and things, other things others themselves, as roles, needs, and natures that are already self-valued. The same racketeering method. Also, weapons of it, breaching, propagated, effectively maintained, self-seized, and utilized. Therefore, used remotely because needing to hide live progressions from their finite, active, and progressive value treatments, their sequence racketeering roles, Connecticut interstates. So we have a whole bunch of people that share names together because they train agencies. They train people on and off. In other words, there are a whole bunch of men and women associated with a probate court and with recorded confessed with the FBI in New Haven, with all the streets perpendicular to routes too, also involved with them criminally through time. I just remind Pakistan. So we have the intercities police and police forms, not just state police, not just Wethersfield police, but they get themselves involved because that's how they're the nature of that volume. That's exploited. So there are also proofs that the shooting of the senator reported real or made up. I'm not saying it was made up. I'm saying, in other words, I didn't do that reporting. I didn't witness any of that. But there are proofs that what I did witness about it is tied to the racketeering uses of Millwoods Park, for example, and of the campus's inter-ages cliques involved with the racketeering with the judges retirement standing, and with the prison cliques, and with that actually recorded ties between the campuses and roles with houses. There's also a house on the houses on Two Route Highway recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with the locations along Walker Hill Road, from that park all the way towards downtown Hartford, the heart of Hartford. Also, all the way down Burlington Turnpike into Hartford, recorded involved racketeering, state police families through time. Wethersfield police, his family, immediate and extended. Now you start getting into name stacking with a whole bunch of people involved with identity racketeering, identity theft, identity frauds, fake ties to people, sequence racketeering roles with whole groups. And while they're in the background, using that to have them, directing them to pretend emotions and passions so they can prevent people free speech. While in other words, WFSB is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also, they stole my speech and other people to fake locations. They pretend I had a doctor relationship to doctors when I was a kid, mental doctors. These are doctors recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Also, further involved with racketeering acts against me, pretending they had conversation with me as an adult, forging names, switching names. Crimes, 3 times they did that. And recorded and confessed 3 times racketeering acts roles with the Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors, with their real estate agents, also involved with judges, involved with racketeering, with various natures of real estate agencies, associated also with Park Street racketeering, associated with the kids, child defenders, with Lena's Pizza, sexual circles with them, also with intercultural cliques, with foreign and domestic military involved, Kuwait, psychology cliques, deans with their family members, fire departments with their family members, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated inclusion with Russians, right through administrations, right through the Obama administration. They're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated all kinds of racketeering roles against, and even with the worst things that are happening, they have roles with it. They say, "Oh, we hate these people." That's because the way their identities of the law are fake. All that they don't understand because they're victim predators. So we have to have mandated law followed. Don Lemon, New York City, is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by them speaking misprision because they prevent you individual communications with them, the news, while they're making things up and have done so. They have election crime acts roles since before the Obama administration. Every administration. Now they're playing fact cheaping nature rackets where they're pretending other. So they're forcing presidents to pretend other, or they're going to hurt them by pretending that presidents aren't being presidential. If they pretend they're being presidential presidents, then they're in collusion with originally and still is criminally foreign influence, sub rosa, active and progressive statutes racketeering, precedents racketeering, uses of that, uses of the exploitation of exception nature, even preemptively, per recorded already since before our founders' births, all formal styles of fact treatment nature only capable of being live progressions. Inside negative value nature progressions, action natures only capable of being. What do you think is capable of being with that people stacking? While there is not enough jobs, while there are not enough jobs, then you make opinions about those people because they take Social Security, whatever. They have racketeering nature, interbranch racketeering natures upon them. See, Don Lemon's not alone. His crime method is to pretend to everyone speak through other and to pretend not to realize. Pretend that courts aren't preventing mandated law when they're the ones trying to be told on at the same time. You know, I said calmly many times, interbranch individually grouped and together, recorded racketeering methods. They're preventing people offensively, criminally from going down to police departments and countering abuses of kids because because of the crime methods, natures, and roles they have. Everyone just pretend it's legal. In other words, they're using statutes that say they can hide things and force people ignored if they're trying to point out things that show it. But they're using that criminally. They're hiding exceptions. In other words, they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts roles with people leading up to and in the trade center attack context, workers with it, their family members, in collusion with the people that attacked them. For example, how ISIS is involved with racketeering, with psychology, with triages throughout the country, with intermilitary. Their physical delusions raw. These are identity theft racketeering natures. You don't. These are stolen valor people. Interbranch, you're killers. That's one thing. Boxing, that's one thing. But then if you want to not think and go let someone, you want to follow someone's orders, come down to it then. Who disbelieves what I'm saying here? Top Boom! Not you, Mr. President. Watch, I'll clean this for you. Have whoever disbelieves this respond. Have them pick one name in sequence, though, and have them pick one spelling of their name, and all will train. Boxings, it's time, it's time. I just remind. Boxings, the whole species will help because we're going to help each other. Modern nations, we own pantheism. Well, a religion, but a science, so it's not even debatable. It's the science about the identity of relationships all things have at once. It's not about a name. Algebra is about the identity of algebra, which is about perception of what is true to everyone, but through a grouped identity of its complete identity. We can only discern it through its semi-natures, complete nature of relationship to itself. And we have a complete nature that is a semi-nature, simultaneously unceasing in demonstration of this. Boxings, logic's actual course. We know we have doctors that are involved with interbranch racketeering. They originally and still are all kinds of sick natures of abuses of people, torture of people, originally and still. Since before they use the word torture, their uses of words / values are the racketeering roles with the racketeering method effectively that have recorded remote uses, even of identity of the ground locations, like the places around the INS place, the boot black there. See how that bridge right above the highway? See, we have these places where undercover families originally still undercover insights into like geographical assets and things like that. Interactions where people they have the nature of how people communicate, involved with other natures, motivations, nature of these worlds with drugs, with the qualities of drugs that they have involved with the racketeering method / S, and nature's actually recorded are stewards. Now, it's all right if they wanted to debate. See, but they only can debate if they're going to use criminally self-valued, social, informal, interscience, interbranch, fake sides of difference, self-valued, fake middles of correlation nature, and or delusions wrought criminally foreign influence, and worse. Correlation nature is a trinity. Is the inherent, the active, and the progressive simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly simultaneously too. And that's why and how, for example, this demonstrates one identity is demonstration of how it is a trinity and how it is 5 semi-natures simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly also, while and how it is 3 semi-natures simultaneously, distinctly and non-distinctly. And it's not so. It's not just to stay as one complete nature. This is to show how it is self-generating. There is no such thing as flux per the value nature, per what generated us, while it is being our value, and while from beyond that, and while it is progressively our value. No, we are unceasingly a semi-nature relationship, quality of diffusion, in relationship to the identity that is onto and as the value of each nature of volume we are, semi-nature of volume we are simultaneously. Everything is in demonstration of this. This is why we have sexes. This is why we are a species, the dearest species. They hurt kids. They challenge. They threaten a kid with for killing an animal. See, this is involved with mental diagnosis. Their roles, like, you know what hunting is? Do you know what fishing is? Then they have YouTube. So some kid shot a thing on YouTube. So they reported. I forgot where they saw that. For example, but we have a recorded fest. You know, it's one thing if they had patterns and they say, oh, well, this is true though. This is a pattern, and this is those patterns are with the are becoming true because of the roles with the racketeering method that is force sustained through the kids, like with the Joshua Julian recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with people with the acts. He doesn't understand the extent of it because he's involved with identity. I never don't know him. He's involved with the sex offenders cliques in my area, with other natures of racketeering involved with that. New York City and Connecticut fire inspectors also involved with that criminally in foreign and domestic police forms, medical campuses, on and off them, on and off Hartford Hospital campuses, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with a whole bunch of people undercover and actually racketeering acts with overt criminal enterprises like Los Solitos and Italian ones and other nations, involved with racketeering uses of UPS, identities of the ground locations that are shared by nations like, Ukraine, Eric Oliveri family associated with Joshua Stryker, also involved with racketeering with the policing of the campuses, intercampuses of each age, intercities, vertically and horizontally, with all kinds of child offenders, even sexual ones, even medical ones, and even criminal uses of Trinity College. I've never had a conversation with my life, Joshua Stryker. He's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with UPS. Nope, since before I went there, because they're also involved with deans and with their family members, with forging names and switching names, cliques interbranch, with criminal uses of the databases of the colleges, with the New York City tied whole bunch of people with the name Alicia, who are now women who were involved with men and women when they were kids, abused on off CCSU, roles with the abuses of little kids. Now there are NFL families I spoke about before on Facebook, and I was getting reactions because these are the people that were recorded, confessed, and demonstrated by people tied to them involved with racketeering with the kids, like per the people tied to them. I don't know to Bucky Jones from New Britain. He's also tied to New Britain High School, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated crime roles with people with the uses of the children campuses intercity, each age of them, crime methods that it connects them even before they meet people. They put people's names in people's minds for criminal reasons. We have no integrity here or there. We have suits and ties, fake sides. We have all kinds of natures of racketeering, natures of private agreements and justifications of them, and natures value them. We can't value that and do anything but need to hide from free speech with sequence true, with inherent active and progressive true at the same time. Means beyond that, just remind. Boxings, it tells us things. Fake branches full. Connecticut, CT, you cherry tree, behold. Boxing. Boxing's your course. Fake sides, you hide the seed. You hide the seed. We train Hartford. We train as if New York. And we don't blame names. We're blaming Don Lemon for his roles recorded and confessed with the networks, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated being coached by former director of the FBI down, other agencies, all gather around, their family members involved with this racketeering that keeps self-valued torture method, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated effectively having been leveraged against Barack Obama. I'm not saying he, for example, every president. I'm not saying he understands. He understands more than me. But I know this. Everyone's still lying when it comes to all we could know. All that is actually recorded regarding the proper answers attached to every question, and regarding the questions of each soul perpetually regarding why they would be part of slavery, let alone, and then individually grouped it together were exploited simultaneously, consciously, each age of not just horizontally and vertically. ages of it. So, I'm not asking you to blame anybody or anything. I'm talking about Don Lemon, for example, recorded his motivations because he already made opinions, or like viewed that they're already insulated. They're already recorded racketeering roles and uses of Facebook, of database relationships, where everyone speaks to everyone else and not originally and still is being used to fake things. Everyone relying upon titles who are pretending they don't realize everything in the database is fake. They pretend they don't realize how people could be motivated categorically to hide the need to hide the same finite sequence shifts, same finite active progressive lies in identity theft racketeering roles. In nature's actually recorded criminal justice. They're forcing people drugged on a mass scale associated with places where there are shootings a lot and people with triages because they're also preventing quality fact sheet in nature in a sustained way since people are born. Boxing is warned. I warn. Follow mandate's course. Boxing. Don Lemon is pretending, oh, I'm a celebrity, so I need to be, I need to be safe. He's recorded offensively a predator. He's offensively a predator. And with the interbranch people using the minds of CNN, their sources, interbranch, recorded criminally foreign influence, delusions raw, insulating him. Everyone's speaking through other, and they're preventing mandated law by preventing counters to the judicial branch, various natures of courts, on off their state judicial branch offices, recorded and confessed racketeering with the police forms. Now they're preventing mandated law, and they're pretending that they think things that are in databases are true when they're recorded, confessed, and demonstrated to me and other people, knowing they're not. These are also people that use the databases private and use the verbal federal crimes on a mass scale originally still. A whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of natures of racketeering and roles, uses of Joshua Julian, uses of people with there's also a Chet Casper that and people associated with him with Rocky Hill on off Maple Street. In other words, on off people associated with there's a Mr. Potter I never had a conversation with in my life. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated repeated roles with racketeering with he's my teacher. There's a Chrysler place, and there are people associated with Mike Pandolf. I never saw him. I don't think I ever saw him in middle school. But in other words, they make confessions out of sequence too regarding this stuff. Middle school's only 2 years. And that guy, I have no problems against Mr. Potter, but this is everyone speaking through other people criminally. He's also involved with the people with the agencies with the racketeering roles in medical families, men and women, identity thefts, mail crime roles, fake conversations with me with this Casper family, and with people that they used to live in my area, a D. Simone family. Other people recorded and confessed my new and past neighbors involved with airplanes where they make them, the locations next to them, the investigations of that, the pilots, people associated all with the same house / in my area, used criminally by former director of the F.B.I. down. Whole bunch of people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved federal crimes with his co-defendants, leading up to and in a 2006 case against a whole bunch of ages, each age of fact sheet nature at once, intercities, preventing this, forcing everyone to speak through other people in life every year of their lives, unless you're going to be a sick person with them. And they hurt kids like this. You have to counter what's sustained with the grammar schools. We're recorded, confessed, to demonstrate. We have parents pretending emotions and passions about my behavior criminally because they can't talk about what I'm. In other words, their roles forcing sequence shifts, forcing no counters to the roles with child sex offenders, and with medical offenders, and with interbranch racketeering attaching little kids to fake locations. I don't care if they know prosecutors. I know they know prosecutors and they're involved with racketeering uses of lawyers too. Fake sides, originally still. Religion fail. We don't have to be lawyers. We don't have to be doctors. We're going to seize logic's course here. Logic needs to make positive protracted out of negative. Sustaining positive course, but not the way they're doing it as criminal seriousness nature needs to, and justifications of it. Fact treatment's nature styles, nature's identity nature. Positive and negative both for our perfection. Here we seize. Campus Marcius calls you through the breeze. We'll train. We traps. We cannot lose. Cemented course is surging through all things, but sings, all drop the force, fake sides. Cemented course, realize, who trial tribes, who has the courage to counter your fake news, only allow protracted, only allow theater focused, forced on you. They're involved with all kinds of natures of racketeering. The groups with the databases, private, interbranch, intercampuses. Now get response. See Renaissance. You'll see what's actually recorded. Now there are buildings and owners of the buildings downtown Hartford further recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the people with the racketeering uses of the graveyards of my name. This Fred Grisey recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. He's involved in racketeering, identity thefts, mail crime rules, crimes of child offenders, on and off into the Berlin Turnpike with the Wethersfield police chief, with retired and standing detectives and medical, foreign, and domestic families, prison cliques, leaderships involved racketeering with overt criminal enterprises, private ones recorded originally and still. You sick religion Phil, you sick branches, here you'll fall. You want to fight for mandate's course? You want to make opinions? Pick one name in sequence. Who disbelieves? Pick one name in sequence and spell that true. Here too. Here now you'll fall. We train. Who gain? Get to one identity. Admitted and drawn these forsaken locations. Watch what we help you do. Boxing comes through. Boxings. We fight here too. The way. Fake brains to sway. Fake brains to sway. You hear what I said. See, they have things like sacrifice, words like that. So you want to use them. Don't hide your your use of exceptions and exception nature. You want your opinions? That's all right. Make it here. Interbranch, intermilitary, Air Force, Paul Kelly. Defend your name right here, you punk. You punk. Paul Kelly, Air Force. Let's get a response, you motherfucker. I want to know, because there are people that recorded confessed in the past that demonstrated you. I don't know, you sought me out for your confessions and demonstrations. And confessed and recorded, confirmed racketeering roles with roots and streets. Now involved further with the people of the racketeering uses of every campus I went to. And of other campuses too. Same ones. Uses of that off of it. That's how we're going to discern them recorded live progressions. It does make you sick to yell and fight like this. Imagine how it does if you had to act the black as black in another black movie. What's his name? I don't know where I heard it. But people are, forget about it. And we're going to fight. We're going to fight about fact treatment nature. We're going to see science where the forsaken is forsaken. That's recorded. I'm not just trying to bring an outcome. This is evidence proper. We have mandated law for offensively, originally and still forsaken. If you say anything, you get hurt. That's what our history is about. You get worse than hurt. If you say anything other, you get hurt. Now we counter here. Fact treatment pure. Fact treatment pure. We blame that Don Lemon. But we blame what he's recorded involved with that crime method, criminal uses of CCSU, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated that they are crime methods with time always too fast. They put a little statue up and throw it away. Oh, you guys aren't lawyers in the first place. We have law. We have knowledge. We have the knowledge of the law involved to getting over on correlation nature. We have sequence racketeering natures. We have sick crimes worse than they put people in jail for. And how sick are you to put someone in jail? How sick are you to go and put, in other words, and they're faking recorded things too. Boxings right through, fake bridges fall. Who disbelieves? Every modern nation has the same problem. Some pretend, oh, we have to pretend we have integrity or we'll get hurt at the fact cheaping nature, and time cheaping nature at the trade center because there's too many hundreds of nations that are already reliant upon those values. Those values of private, you can't defend in us here or there. We have fake sides. We have recorded and confessed and demonstrated. Facebook was used for crimes with child offenders with Russians, with roles, criminal uses of the town offices in Wethersfield, New York City, retired and standing, real degenerate people associated with the child sex offenders cliques involved with other natures of racketeering, untimely deaths tied, the same cliques that the police forms and their extended family members of the pilots, stuff like that, on off Trinity College, on off CCSU in the background, tied to the database racketeering acts, verbal racketeering. So now they're stuck. You motherfucker. I'll show you how to fight, motherfucker. You relax, black. Not as a side. As us fighting together for a quality of fact cheaping nature that is science. Boxings. And I'll be Romulus, raised by a Native American. And then we'll get people to play the slave roles that are white. And we'll have Native Americans stay the same because this is insane. Boxings to train, to break right through. These are our means. You know what we could afford to build by just admitting, holy shit, holy God, these are criminally foreign influence zoning laws. These are criminally foreign influence means, value systems, what you can afford. Paradise, we can build a mountain within 2 seconds without right through these fake side money. Everyone do it for free. Make them forget. You know, man, what space there is. Boxings, just things just appear from nowhere. That's what science does. That's what this identity of relationship it has to itself. The perfect value progression has. See, we have all spaz. We have recorded psychology. Understand this. Now, I'm not making an opinion. This is recorded. A whole bunch of nations with psychology juxtaposed with justice departments that are racketeering methods with mental diagnosis. A whole bunch of nations involved with racketeering that Joseph Mengele was about, for example. A whole bunch of nations involved with racketeering that was involved with the Civil War, where the North was already involved with exploitation of the next phase is where they already have the identity of our founders stolen. They already have complete control over formal fact-cheating nature campuses, intercampuses, already only capable of being live progressions from each formal position, especially the database relationships. Note, since before ancient times, they had databases, records. Oh, we don't know about the evidences. This republic is evidences. We have people that are speaking, want to debate about evidences out of sequence with physical delusions, our formal stewards, not by accident, that exploit that's part of their styles of getting away with keeping worse than free speech prevented, worse than religion prevented. They want to pretend that theater in the background with police not saying anything. It's because they speak, they don't know how to speak because they're already involved with racketeering. They're victims, but they're victim predators. They know we need, as a fact treatment nature, to value their identities. So they have their identities valued, criminally foreign influenced, delusions raw. Now, these are styles of liars in Russia and America involved with psychology, with a whole bunch of mental diagnosis, a whole bunch of crime natures and methods, sick people originating still, forcing drugs into people, stealing people's identities, forging names, switching names, crimes with overt criminal enterprises, crimes with private drugs and with overt criminal enterprises with the same ones, interviewed natures of courts, their family members, one-way reports, boxings. CNN's also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with these crimes with criminal uses of campuses by judges and by police firms involved with them with racketeering their sources. Military sources, foreign and domestic, involved racketeering. Fire departments, a whole bunch of ways in New York City. You can't see that only a racketeering nature could have pretended we had freedom the whole time while that was built like that. They are recorded prevent presidents and leaders of all natures the quality of fact treatment nature to do anything but entertain state scenarios which will permit anything but demonstration of them criminally foreign influence, self-value, roles having self-valued that, not by accident, per a whole bunch of motivations, natures, needs, interests, all juxtaposed with what keeps them used remotely, keeps them used to keep needing to hide life progressions they didn't know they were going to have to hide, needed to hide uses of whole groups, uses of everyone. The value of everyone is a physical value now, our nature. Invisible but physically clear. One means appear. Boxings. Santa Claus will soon be met. It tells us things. Boxings. So we need to have the aggression of CNN countered. And my aggression here is counter aggression. No, also they're involved with sequence racketeering methods that and needs, natures, and needs now recorded criminally to pretend not to perceive that because they are already involved, maintain needing to have each age of fact treatment nature not allowed to counter recorded forced fake care and sick aggression, even sexual and even medical, and even identity theft racketeering with the people interstate sick with not just legalized drug crime roles with the agencies and with all these women named like 5 women named Alicia, men and women sharing the role named Bobby, people associated with the Chris Walters, people associated with 2 Highway, recorded confessed with crimes with houses all along Walker Hill Road in Wethersfield, all along the way up to CCSU, on and off Paul Manafort Drive. Judges are recorded, confessed, involved with interstate racketeering with a whole bunch of people associated with CCSU predicate act roles, like with a detective Samuda who pretended he was an arresting officer of me, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of police from East Hartford and from private and their family members and other Wethersfield police, forging names, switching names, mail crime acts roles with them, wire crime roles with them, interbranch. Each branch individually grouped together, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering acts roles. Whole bunch of people associated with and as a former Mayor Gold and new and past neighbors and mayors and their family members, and even politicians higher. Each branch of government is recorded criminally foreign influence and delusions raw, especially regarding color and treatments of it and answers to the questions about it. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. Maintain uses of, then defenses of that, which is in collusion against what science is free speech, which is obligated to and longing, which is longing to be able to explain the forced self-valued, glorified self-valued, fake care, and sick righteous indignation, pretended actual. And whereas now act for actual motivations, natures, needs, interests, even like money, those are all just juxtaposed tools. This is a completely a fact treatment nature racketeering method that originally and still right now, all formal fact treatment natures are inclusion with uses of black, uses of our human value, which is a trinity, individual grouped and together. And it's so to see when that trinity is when that trinity's identity, the one each complete identity nature is simultaneously an unceasing semi-nature in relationship to this. Boxings, lift this. So it's important to have fake sides with the force countered. It's important to put aggression where it belongs. Boxings! I tell you things, you little girls. They lie about your complexion, your identity. I'm going to show you why and how. Little boys, I'm going to show you why and how. Each age of fact treatment nature, there were people motivated, recorded. Right through administrations, they consciously abused you, all kinds of ways, not even sexual, even medical. Even if they made that stuff up about the church, they're recorded, involved, and confessed and recorded. They use that to maintain fake sides then and now. Because if you make value treatments in a case, in a deposition, as a victory or a loss against another side, and you do lies with that, and those lies are used to hurt other people, and you're still self-value, you're stuck that way now. Now you're gonna admit that when someone needs to say it, then you're perjury. You see what I'm saying? That's how they motivate. In other words, their motivations, and you'll see their roles with racketeering. They're even motivated to need to get caught for things, because by the time they're keeping them realized, realized the same way the overt criminal enterprises are by and as the same one. By and as the same fact treatment nature racketeering each age of fact treatment nature kept victim needing to hide from and to hurt correlation, easy protraction by keeping it made difficult. We should have long time ago discerned how simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly, they're about two different things, but simultaneously, distinctly, and non-distinctly, they're about the same exact thing. The predicate of English and the predicate act of the law in relationship to organized crime countering needs. So they knew Native Americans A through Z would have to blame others themselves for the real causes of predicate acts force sustained upon them. And now don't forget that mail crimes, wire crimes, and then roles with all kinds of criminal and serious natures of crimes to hide life progressions tied to that, to hide people with investigations already tied to roles with all those really involved with what happened back. So then when there's more coming from it, they're perpetually needing to pretend they have the identity of each branch of government as worth than it's not. It never was worth. See, an algorithm needs to discern, like algebra needs to discern what we know is true always, and from what we don't know, from what maybe we know semi. What is semi incomplete is in demonstration to us of this trinity too, with that, and of its complete identity of relationship to itself, which is so powerful that we could choose to be other value nature system, but it pushes our value as Earth's value with no criminal foreign influences, no elites of IDs, for space nature transfer, which is the identity of value progression that came since before it generated matter. How could something bang into each other until it's generated? Boxings! Therefore, color fight, not culture. One culture is pure, it's clear. Forever nature's course. See me disappear. I'll drop the force. Boxings. It hurts you to like yell and things like that to fight. So we have. This is how we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for the New York part of it with the Burroughs book, and that's going to be a concentrated value on the three where the building set up where it's most unfathomable of even how to afford to counter all the impositions on those people, and that's going to be as a game that is also lifting out the people tied to that, peripheral to it, and is also being a game that's preemptively a whole bunch of juxtaposed means to reliefs and to counters to things offensively because they can't take something pure. Because then it changes our quality of fact-cheaping nature styles, our awareness of a nature of theater as criminal and seditious nature as the voice of each opinion nature formal. Each formal job, for example, all kinds of jobs are in collusion with people. It's who you know, not what you know. But we don't like dictators. Get down! I'll gather round. Boxings. See, then we're going to make what is big very small. Like the big three huge buildings, hundreds of people in it. Admitting that together, it becomes very, very small. Boxings. We paint this. We move. We train. Who gain? The whole species will do it. We have means to afford things that no business can do. In other words, well, our nations will agree to be peace and stuff. We'll take away all kinds of needs for money, for time and positions. They also would you rather have nations with armies and stuff like that? Wouldn't you rather have your armies? You're already paying them. Use the truck, dig up some dirt, make you a whole bunch of compost. Whole bunch of means to counter a whole bunch of natures of impositions like mass farming, all associated with that. We need to give them mass compost now. Boxings. We need an identitative relationship to the ground, self-valued countered here and there, divorced here and there, involved with the fact-cheaping nature slavery of our founders. Their identity stolen here and there. Mao Zedong, our founders, their identities are recorded stolen in many ways. We're not supposed to. That's why recorded nations are forced grouped with private agreements, natures of industries that you can't defend, and also at the same time, not by accident, from a denatured relationship to nature. Not one modern nation can have enough jobs at the same time. Not one job worth ourselves, even if it is highly paying people. It is still not worth our nature. Is not capable of affording means to counter. But we will this way. Hear many pray. And what will that do? Take all kinds of nature's needs for money just to counter all kinds of niches of bleeding, where we have all kinds, in other words, fact-cheaping nature value bleeding. Lethal ID. Only capable of being lethal IDs, modern nations. That's really why we're going into space. We're an identity of negative value, nature progression, self-glorified modern nations. These are they're to the maintenance of that, especially with all that with criminal justice in modern nations with psychology, a whole bunch of natures of jobs, even sociology, everything, every ism. We have physical delusions with the experts of logic, criminal seditious natures of logic stewards, nature styles of liars, self-valuing that. We have Dr. Phil and other people involved with networks recorded and confessed that have him involved with as a standing physical delusions, raw, criminally foreign influence, fact-cheaping nature style, as a doctor, as his crime acts, roles, and uses of the identities of database-tied clicks. Per this maintained roles with this crime method on-off campuses in a sustained way, sustaining live progressions from each campus click. It's all right when people want to make opinions about my behavior. Don't attach me to fake words. Don't spread lies through kids and self-value roles with it more and more, because we have a whole bunch of people further involved with child offenders. Fake conversations with me. We have further family members recorded, confessed, and demonstrated influenced their uses of a park. I mean, a field across the street from my house. And then I told the guy to report to. No one's giving me a response, and they're pretending things that they in the background that they can't pretend. They need to pretend things about behavior and leaving. No, they can't pretend it on paper. So they leave things, and when they have courts and they have police farms faking things recorded, attaching it with a fake word still. Originally and still, we have sick high predators of law, and it's recorded how they're more maintained like that. A whole bunch of people associated with CCSU involved with this. A whole bunch of people in the Britain Superior Court. Their criminal uses of programs associated with Washington, D.C. Their programs associated with people that they use the crime method of having people make confessions and demonstrations to strangers. And then through time after, years later, some person you don't even know like that is involved also with people you completely don't know, and they're involved with child offenders, and you can't even counter that because they're pretending things in the background to discredit me that they can't pretend on paper because they're caught many ways. All kinds of natures of racketeering uses of Wethersfield campuses, intercities. Now, this is leading up to the Trade Center attack in it, and since, with other natures of racketeering roles with the investigators, and also with predicate acts, old predicate act methods, uses of intercities with the same ones on off the state judicial branch offices, on off the state prison offices, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with database, vertical and horizontal identity racketeering thefts, all kinds of people associated with Detective Dillon and Kevin Dillon, Sean Dillon, and Anna Dillon, with judges and with military forms, police forms, and stuff involved with real estate crimes with the interbranch too. All natures of crimes with doctors, male and female, predicate acts, fake conversations with me, fake lies about my behavior. Then they need to lie about people's behavior online when we're talking about that, and there's nowhere to give. There's no one who will let you counter. In other words, unless your roles with what their opinions are. We need to have actual facts. See, they have facts offensively, retaining facts are theater that they already used criminally. As criminal and seditious nature was actually recorded. Dom Lemon, uses of him pretending to be about color recorded because he's a racketeering nature. All we need is science, actual. We have scientific consensus recorded, used as a weapon by people criminally foreign influence, delusions, raw, victim predators. Now we need forgiveness. I forgive you, Don Lemon, but follow mandated law. Tell me the names of the people or your sources. You guys are recorded, confessed, demonstrated. You're lying about people who need to report things. And you can't pretend so on paper because you recorded, confessed, and demonstrated all kinds of natures of racketeering through time. All kinds of people involved further with the Department of Transportation through time, involved with the people with CCSU, involved with New Britain Superior Court, other natures of courts, their family members, one-way report, boxings. What do you think a judge does when you're going to get with their family members and them in trouble, and they know in the background they could just hide and lie, and they already have that stuck fake things in databases. They already have that tied to the criminal database uses of campuses, uses of that from live progressions from that recorded needed by them. Whole bunch of people tied to the house, the extended family members in my house in my area with the criminal roles, with the uses of the roots and of Facebook to pretend to perceive things and to pretend to record things. Boxings. They have insurance people involved with this too. Whole bunch of natures of real estate crimes and of natures of racketeering recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with the houses on Church Street against my family members and against me. And then, in other words, I don't want to debate what they're speaking through other people. So I need to know who disbelieves. If they disbelieve, it's fine. I can't. I try to communicate with them. You can't communicate with them when you need to counter them. Their confessions. So now we need a counter. We have a people on Church Street in Old Wethersfield, right around the all the way on that street, and we have the police department where it is now, where it used to be on that street, off the street. Further involved child offenders intercities with the campuses down next to them. Respond. This shows they have crime methods, physical delusions. They've actually recorded motivations, actually recorded dangers that demonstrate exactly what is having kept the real cause of negative value nature progressions, accidents, where people are getting shot a lot, blamed on other things other than themselves. We have evidence reception, natures of departments like English, involved with evidence racketeering. That is a nature to keep experts in collusion with what is worse than obfuscating proper attribution of predicate acts to the group associated with it. Actually, and most sickly, which is interbranch and private tied to them in intercampuses, is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how they have remote control over the overt criminal enterprises. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, finite, active, and progressive lies. Criminal uses of the locations at the end of the Burl Turnpike before the Hartford. Criminal uses of Wethersfield Avenue or Franklin Avenue leading into the heart of Hartford too. Criminal uses of Fox Connecticut News and of the buildings in downtown Hartford, of the buildings of New Haven. It's not by accident there's not a lot of nightlife in Connecticut. We have the FBI, we have the CIA, we have Homeland Security involved with racketeering originally and still. There are transitions from ARCA to RICO, the Patriot Act, the recorded racketeering roles with it, with other nations. Boxings. 2 stations each. Now one will teach. So we're going to show each age of fact, human nature. We're going to show them. Passions course. Emotions course with value true. Always. Exception nature's tool. It guides. Campus Marcius calls you home with lies. Each campus lies. We need the name return. Who'll train? Call lost and found. We play this game. Will that fake breaches break? Your experts rise. Your experts rise. It's time. I just remind. Control your mind. CT, you cherry tree. It's time you fall. Now build the wall. Boxing. It tells us things. Behold. Be told. Yes, yes.